I'm grateful that there were 19 players that participated in the game, and I'm grateful that no one left with a serious injury. I thought it was a pretty dangerous 2 hours. So fortunate that nobody was seriously hurt.
All right, raise your hand if you've got a question, all right? PJ?
PJ Green, KC Star. I mean, obviously with that statement, Coach, can you just kind of expound on why you thought the game was so dangerous?
I thought it was very, very physical. We changed the rules in 2011, started using phrases like freedom of movement. We wanted more scoring. And I think tonight, you take Jade Masagayo and Julia Davis, for example, two probably of the best power forwards in our league. And that would have been a great matchup, to have them go against each other in a way that was less physical, where their skills could have been on display. But I felt like, it was two teams just beating the shit out of each other, and that's not necessarily what anybody wants to watch, in my opinion.
What kind of things do you kind of want to see just when you have a game as physical as that?
Well, I think when there's two teams that have a lot that they're playing for, and it is physical early, then I think you can call it really tight, and the players are smart enough to adjust. Would be my preference. I've been doing it 31 years, and we had a situation where we had an injured player, and we had the ball, and they didn't stop play. I mean, it cost us 5 points and a timeout because I was told I had to take a timeout to get the injured player off the floor. One, that's not the rule, and two, I've never experienced that before. So, listen, I want to give Colorado a tremendous amount of credit. They've had an unbelievable season. I think that JR, Krista Gerlich won Coach of the Year. But I think there were numerous other people who've had phenomenal seasons, and JR should be in that mix. So I don't want to take away from it. I just don't like how our game is played in certain situations where it's so physical that really, really good players cannot display all the things that they work on to our fan bases.
And Sania, just can y'all talk about just the physicality of the game, which y'all told yourselves and your teammates just do not.
We came into the game knowing that it was going to be a physical game. We've already played them previous, so we knew what we were getting ourselves into. I do think that there were a lot of calls that were uncalled and a lot of really itty-bitty fouls that we got called for. But that was just the flow of the game, and we really can't do anything about that. The best thing we could have done was just keep our composure.
Okay, we're going to go on the long row.
Coach, you're just over a month removed from your last matchup with Colorado. What did you really take away from that game that you took going into this game, and then just how did you see the two, compare the two games on the physicality side?
Well, I think that game was more physical late, in my opinion, where it was physical for the entirety today. We shot a bunch of free throws. They shot a bunch of free throws. We took better care of the basketball today. Two of our best players are out early. Two of their best players are out early. I like the best players playing. Especially in situations, where there's so much on the line.
Great.
Coach, a short time ago, one of the Colorado players said that she did not like playing on this court because it was like glass. Was your opening statement attributable at all to the court and Sania? Can you share your thoughts on playing on this court?
Well, I don't have a comment on the court because I didn't play on it. I didn't dive for a loose ball. I didn't take a charge. So I think the players, both in the women's tournament, and then in the men's tournament, we'll be the ones to get the feedback. That's not probably my role.
So Maya?
I would say, I don't know, like Matt and I have already talked about it previously, and it's different. I mean, it's cool that it's historic and we're the first to play on it. I think it made us a bit timid, just being the first time, and it's a different feeling. And then we all have previous injuries that we're still working with, so it's kind of like you're in your head mentally about it because it's not the same as a regular court, but at the end of the day, we're just trying to compete out there.
Okay, go to the right.
Coach and players, just overall, how would you reflect on this season as a whole?
Well, I don't think it's time for us to reflect because it's not over. We've had a lot of adversity and injuries, but I do think that as we got into February and we were healthier, we were able to put the best version of ourselves out there. And we've competed really hard with and won games against a lot of teams that are in strong consideration for the tournament.
Okay, we'll stay in the front row and then we'll go back.
Sania, can you tell me, so Colorado held Julia to 8 points and it's her lowest of the season. So what did it look like trying to adjust to that on the court? How did you change your mindset and change what you guys are doing on the court?
Just like yesterday, I feel like our offense wasn't just flowing for us. I did think we had a bit of a better flow today, and I do think our forwards were a little bit more confident just with their shots. Everybody's been front and back in Leah, and I mean, she's a freshman, and that's really hard to deal with, especially mentally. We just kept trying to lock in on the defensive side. It was a low-scoring game for really both sides, and we were just trying. That's all I got.
Stay here.
Coach, 15% from three. What did you see from Colorado's defense that kind of held you limited from perimeter?
Yeah, I think it was hard to get to spots. They again were, took away space, and I think, from a scouting report perspective, they do a good job getting into our shooters.
Around the lot.
Coach, you talked about how aggressive they were early. What adjustments did you and your coaching staff make?
Well, we were just trying to get some heat, off of our ball handlers. I think, in the open floor, and then, it was difficult. Obviously, they were front and back in Julia, and then obviously, bringing a trap at times too. So hard to run offense on your spots.
All right.
Sania, even though you guys didn't get the win today, you were able to hold Zion Walker to 6 points. In the last matchup, she had 24. Can you talk about what you were able to do to limit her shots this time around?
Yeah, as a team, we were focused on packing the paint, and most of her shot selection is mid-range. As a team, we didn't let her get to the spots that she wanted to and get those easy mid-range jump shots that she was getting to last game.
Sania, I saw, I think it was right before halftime where you were telling Raven to, kind of try to shoot some wide open shots there. Just, y'all kind of had looks like that throughout the game, but just what kind of talks amongst yourselves did y'all have in those moments?
Halftime, we definitely did a good debrief, and I think a lot of it did help. Once Brandon came in, we really all had the same ideas. I was really just trying to tell them that shoot the shots that they shoot all the time, and just to not complicate it. And I think she answered well. She was just like, yes, okay, I got you, just the feedback, knowing that she heard me and that she understood me, and then she executed it.
On the left.
Brandon, you mentioned the season not being over. You're sitting on the bubble of the NCAA tournament. First, just what's your message to the committee with this team?
Well, I go back to, we had a hard December and January even because of injuries. We have maybe the best win non-conference win in the Big 12 with Minnesota, who's going to be a host team, going to be a 4 seed. I think Tech's projected to be a 5 seed, and we have a win there. We look back at how we played TCU. I know today was important, but we'll see. I do know this. I think if you look at the Big 12 and you look at how the higher seeds have done in this tournament, it speaks to the depth and the strength of this league. And I don't know that our league as a whole gets the credit that it deserves. There was a lot of bubble teams that lost first round and lost by wide margins. We'll see.
And then just building on that, Brandon, if you are left out of the NCAA tournament, would you accept a bid to another tournament like the WBIT or NIT?
The first one you mentioned, yes. I don't think that's one that we would be left out of just based on our net and where we are. And I think very much so if it's not the NCAA tournament, that would be the tournament that we would play in.
Coach, even though your season's not over, what has this year's senior group meant to this program during their time at Kansas?
Yeah, I think, you look at Nadira, who's with us 5 years, and then we have 3 that transferred in. And I've said this, even going back to senior night, when a player chooses the University of Kansas, as an educational institution, in our basketball program, they're also choosing me to be their coach, and that's something that I'm extremely grateful for. And I know that our culture has grown tremendously, under their guidance.